It was really sudden, and I was totally unaware of it. Certainly, when I came home recently, I noticed that my wife, Nora, was dressed a little differently and more stylishly than what she normally wears. But I didn't pay any attention to it whatsoever at that time. I thought it was normal for women to pay attention to her clothes and dress up from time to time. Besides, if it was just my family, it's fine. But my daughter, Gwen's tutor, was coming over to the house. So I guess Nora couldn't be in her normal clothes. That was all what I had thought, and I had absolutely no idea. But when Gwen started crying and talking to me about some things that were in her mind, I realized what she meant. My name is Steve. I am a 45-year-old businessman. My wife, Nora, is a full-time housewife who brightens up the house. My daughter, Gwen, is kind even to her middle-aged father, and she is the apple of my eye. At first, I heard that when daughters are in their rebellious phase, they don't want their fathers to do the laundry at the same time they do their laundry, or they'd look at their fathers as if they were looking at something disgusting. But that has never happened to me at all. Rather, she would talk to me about anything. She is a really nice girl, and she's a really good girl. Gwen is currently in her third year of middle school and is preparing for her end-of-year exams. Her grades were not so bad to begin with, but she wanted to perfect them. So I recommended that she'd get a private tutor. Gwen also thought that having a private tutor would be a good idea, and she agreed. Then a boy named Kenneth, who's a third-year college student, came to our house. "My name is Kenneth, and I will be Gwen's tutor from today. I look forward to teaching Gwen, sir."
"Oh, okay. Nice to meet you, Kenneth."
Kenneth seemed sincere, kind, and also handsome for a young man. As a father, I was concerned that my daughter might become infatuated with Kenneth, and in the end, ignore her own studies. That is why I often asked Nora how Gwen and Kenneth were doing in her room when Gwen was being tutored.
"Nora, is Kenneth teaching Gwen well? He's not messing with Gwen, is he?"
"Oh, honey, you're dealing with a college student, you know. I know you're jealous of him because you're Gwen's father. But if you don't take a more firm stance, Gwen won't like you." Hearing Nora, it was hard for me to hear what she had to say. You may say that I'm interfering, but that's how much I cared about my daughter Gwen. But then Gwen's grades gradually improved. "Dad, I got second place in my grade today. My teacher also said that if I keep this up, I would be able to get into the high school of my choice very quickly."
"Oh, I see. Gwen, that's amazing."
No. It's all thanks to Mr. Kenneth."
"What, is Mr. Kenneth that amazing?"
"No, he's not only amazing, you know. He teaches me more clearly than my middle school teacher, and it's very easy for me to understand. Actually, it would be easier and great if Mr. Kenneth would continue to help me with my high school studies." Gwen's words made me think for a moment and thought that I might just fire Kenneth. I felt so jealous that Kenneth had gained Gwen's trust so much. But I am an adult. What am I getting all angry and annoyed over a college student? I told myself to be cool and calm. Then, one day, when I came home after work, the living room was empty.
Nora? Gwen?
I called their names, and Nora came hurrying down from upstairs. Oh, welcome home, honey. You're back so early. I thought you would be back home a little later.
Oh yeah, I got off work early and...
What's wrong, honey?
You misbuttoned your shirt.
What? Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. Saying that, Nora adjusted her clothes and buttons. But it wasn't just the clothes. I could see Nora sweating on her neck and her forehead.
Honey, you're sweating. What's wrong? What, were you exercising?
Oh, yeah. I haven't been moving my body lately, so I wanted to exercise, you see?
I see. Well, I should really do that too.
But then, about a few days later, my daughter Gwen asked me for some advice. My daughter Gwen told me that she needed to talk to me about something, so we had dinner together and I listened to what she had to say. I thought it would be about her career path or something, but it turned out to be very different from what I had expected. Since we went out for dinner after the meal, we went on a drive.
Gwen, your grades have been going up recently, so as my treat, let's go on a trip with the whole family next month.
What?
Studying is important, but you need to take a break and relax once in a while. I wonder where would be a good place for us to go as a family trip.
Then, when I suggested a place to go, she didn't respond at all. I wondered what was wrong, and when I looked at Gwen, she had tears in her eyes.
What's wrong, Gwen? I'm sorry. If you don't want to go on the trip, we don't really have to.
She's a student preparing for exams, so there are probably a lot of stress that she didn't want to talk about. Perhaps the word trip was not a good word for Gwen right now. When I thought so and was about to ask her to ignore my idea, Gwen replied back. No, Dad. I don't want to go on the trip with the three of us as a family.
Huh? What do you mean by that?
I did not understand what Gwen meant, so I asked her back. Then I heard Gwen's thoughts for the first time here. It's Mom, and she's having an affair with Mr. Kenneth.
Huh? What? Huh? Wait a minute. What do you mean? Mr. Kenneth is the boy who tutors you, right? That kid and your mom is having an affair? But the age difference between them is the same as a parent and a child. There must be some mistake.
As I was about to say so, Gwen glared at me sharply and began to say this. I saw it, you know. Mom and Mr. Kenneth doing something really inappropriate.
You're joking, right?
But it wasn't that I didn't believe Gwen at all on what she was saying. When Gwen told me, I remembered that Nora had misbuttoned a button the other day. And the way she was sweating and the way she was out of breath, coming down the stairs in a panicking way like that. Putting these things all together, there was no doubt that Kenneth and Nora had crossed the line. When Gwen finished telling me everything, Gwen confided her conflicted feelings to me. I don't know what to think anymore. Mom takes really good care of me, and Mr. Kenneth helped me get good grades. But they are both doing things they shouldn't be doing without your knowledge, Dad. So I don't know what to do or what to think anymore.
Gwen.
Gwen was sobbing away. She must have kept in a lot of tears until now. I hugged Gwen tightly.
Gwen, don't worry. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it, and Gwen, you will never feel sad like this ever again.
Gwen was so relieved to hear that she fell asleep as I drove back home. But the problem is more complicated. However, what Nora and Kenneth did to cause Gwen pain is something that cannot be forgiven no matter what. The two of them will pay for their sins in their own way. A few days later, I set up a camera in the place where Nora and Kenneth always make love to each other. I bought a camera with good functions and performance for this day. I'm going to get alimony later anyway from the both of them. This kind of expense is nothing to worry about. After I got home, I checked the camera. I was shaking with anger at what I saw. The first person to enter the room was Nora. As soon as she entered the room, Nora changed into her fancy lingerie that she wouldn't even use with me. Then about 10 minutes later, a familiar-looking Kenneth enters the room.
I'm sorry about that. To keep you waiting, Nora.
Aw, it's so late. I've been waiting for it a long time.
Sorry. By the way, Gwen is so talented. There's almost nothing I can teach her since she knows almost everything on the textbook.
Then, Nora forcefully took Kenneth's lips. But you have another goal now, don't you? I'm your student now.
Nora, you're completely addicted to what you're doing with me. Was it that good?
Because you're better than him and more energetic than anything else.
I see. Well then, I'm going to start another class for you today. Let's start with a massage.
As Kenneth said that, he began to massage Nora's lower body. Nora was already sensitive, as if she had been aroused from earlier on.
Oh, you must have been asking for it, huh? Then, let's try this one in today, shall we?
Then Kenneth took out an electric toothbrush. Hurry up then. But Nora also accepts it and asks Kenneth for it. He slowly puts it on her lower lips, and to that, Nora let out a little scream.
If you scream that loud, Gwen might notice. Oh, but never mind. Gwen's listening to her literature now, so I'm good for another 15 minutes. Well then, let's finish in another 15 minutes.
Saying that, he starts to get it on, and seeing this, Kenneth was quite the technician. As he declared, he made Nora exhausted in 15 minutes. The two of them looked really satisfied after that. Oh yes, I do want you after all, Kenneth.
I want you too, Nora. Since everyone around me is full of kids, an adult woman is better for me too.
What Kenneth said was so creepy that it gave me goosebumps. I was about to smash the video I was watching on the floor in anger, but I held back. The two of them were saying something about having a class, but I decided it was time to chime in, and I moved in for revenge. I had always wondered why Kenneth had a relationship with an older woman like Nora. There must be a reason. So I started to look into it, and I found out something. Armed with this information, I went to a certain place. A few weeks later, I was on my way home from work when I received a message from Gwen. The message said that Kenneth and Nora were waiting for me at home. Gwen was told to stay in her room since the adults are going to have an important talk. Gwen was worried about me, but it was all what I expected would happen. Today is the end of Nora and Kenneth's classes. An hour later, I went home. In the living room, I found Nora with a gloomy face and Kenneth with a very dark face.
Oh, well, hello there, Mr. Kenneth. My daughter Gwen and my wife Nora are always in your care.
Oh, I knew it. So you knew, didn't you?
About what?
That Kenneth and I are having a relationship. You knew that, and you didn't tell me, did you? Nora was quite impatient and raised her voice right away when the conversation started. And she even went as far as to say something like this. Kenneth here got a call from the headquarters today that he's been fired. You must have told his workplace something that was not true, right? Good heavens, you're so helpless. You really can't help it that you're jealous of Kenneth when he's just a college student, huh? Those words made me angry.
Well, you are so desperate, aren't you? You seem to be serious about him for quite a while. Is that right?
Excuse me? What are you talking about? Of course I am. He's serious about me too. I mean, Kenneth was the one who said, age doesn't matter.
Oh, is that so? Kenneth, you really love my wife, don't you? You really love a woman 20 years older than you, don't you?
Kenneth looked really awkward and looked down at my question. Nora, who thought the situation was strange, began to get upset. Hello, Kenneth. Say something.
There's no way you can, Kenneth, right? To you, Nora is just money tree, right?
What the hell do you mean by that? After swearing revenge on both of them, I first looked into Kenneth. He was a college student, and he had more than one girlfriend. With more than one lovers, finances must be really tight for him as a college student. So he was tutoring and targeting married women he thought who might fall for him and earn money from there. When I presented the evidence, Kenneth got down on his knees.
I'm so sorry. I just really needed the money.
Hearing this, Nora had a desperate look on her face. You're joking, right? Then all the things that you did, which has been making me crazy until now, were all for the money? No way.
You said earlier that I'm a helpless guy, didn't you? Well, guess what? You're the helpless one, Nora. Having an affair with my daughter's tutor, cheating on my family, and then making my daughter cry. You're the one who's a complete, helpless and hopeless person.
Nora was speechless as I said these words to her. And so this one incident came to an end. Since then, I have filed for alimony from both Kenneth and Nora. Of course, Nora and I divorced, and I got custody of Gwen. I apologized to Gwen and told her that it would be just the two of us from now on. If you're there with me, Dad, then I'm fine.
Oh, Gwen, honey. Thank you.
Kenneth was then charged alimony by the husbands from all the families he had an affair with their wives with, because he had cheated on them at other places where he tutored at. Since he was in debt and couldn't pay up, he borrowed money and even asked his parents to pay the alimony. In the end, Kenneth's parents disowned him, and he even dropped out of college because they could not pay his college expenses. Nora was also charged the same alimony and could not pay it, so she borrowed money from her own parents. However, Nora was also disowned by her family for the same reason as Kenneth. She's now working at night in sketchy places, but it seems that sometimes she has to deal with men older than me instead of young men like Kenneth, and she seems to spend her days lamenting about it. Since then, Gwen and I have been living together, and Gwen does most of the housework. Recently, she has been taking care of me so much that Gwen is even more capable of taking care of herself. It is said that the children surpass their parents, but I never thought I would see Gwen grow up and mature so quickly like that. I will continue to live my life looking forward to Gwen's growth. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to seeing you again. Please subscribe to our channel.